Welcome to The Show Off, the podcast where we make each other sit down, shut up, and watch episodes of our favorite TV shows and then explain, or be forced to listen to, why it's top-tier television. This show is for anyone who has ever wanted to go on endless tangents about their favorite shows, but their friends and family don't want to hear it. We get it. Ditch those losers and come hang out with us instead. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Kampy.
And this is The Show Off.
Previously on the Show Off podcast.
We're watching Once Upon a Time. We're watching the pilot of Once Upon a Time, and then we are going to be watching the season 1 finale.
Yeah, the episode ran way later than we thought it would, so we decided to split this up into 2 parts. Stick around, y'all, for part 2, Once Upon a Time, the season finale for season 1.
Alrighty, so that was our pilot discussion for the pilot of Once Upon a Time. Super fun. And now we're going to move on to our discussion of the season 1 finale, since this is a special double feature here for our first episode of the Show Off.
Definitely not biting off more than we can chew.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But we're here for it. We're ready to get into it. I was just saying off air that I'm really glad I chose this episode, because what our concept kind of for these first 2 episodes that we're doing is that we wanted to do the first episode of a show and either the last episode of a season or the last episode of the entire series. And I could have done the last episode of the entire series. I think it would have made sense. I haven't gotten there actually in my watch of Once Upon a Time, but I kind of know what happens.
Extra spoilers for you.
It would be extra spoilery, and I kind of want to naturally get, like, I'm on season 6, y'all. Like, I'm close. Like, I want to just get there on my own. But I think choosing this season 1 finale does present a very nice closed loop to this first season. And I would say, of fans of the show, I mean, a lot of people love season 1. Like, it's one of the strongest seasons of the show for sure, if not the strongest. So yeah, you could almost watch this first season as its own kind of thing, and almost and kind of get a full satisfying story. We do end on sort of a cliffhanger, but the initial problem is solved basically by the end of this season. So this finale, episode 22, the title is A Land Without Magic, and this episode aired on May 13th, 2012. Where were you guys in 2012? We were graduating high school. That's wild. Do you want to say anything about this overall before we get into it? What was your overall impression?
Yeah, I mean, going into it, it's different, right? It's harder because I'm coming into this still
blind,
pretty much completely blind.
Pretty blind, yeah.
Obviously, I know who some of the characters are.
Yeah.
Not all of them. And I'll admit, like, the cross-cutting between Eve, the Enchanted Forest,
the Enchanted Forest, yeah,
and the real world, I was a little confused because I didn't know where we were in the timeline.
Okay.
But outside of that, I do think, spoiler alert, it is a nice wrap up of the reimagining of Snow White's story. And since that is the central fairy tale that we've been focusing on, I thought it was a very nice, like, I don't know, parallel to run through it all.
Yeah. Well, right, especially because we sort of get some, in terms of the Enchanted Forest scenes, we get kind of the lead up to Charming going and finding Snow.
That's what I was gathering. Yeah, I guess overall, it's hard to say because I don't know what else has been happening in the show.
A lot.
A little bit harder to judge
has been happening.
Yeah, and there's definitely moments where I was like, okay, I'm clearly missing context.
Yeah.
But for a season finale, as you're saying, like, it does seem to wrap up the central points of the story quite well.
Yeah, I mean, from the pilot, we get there is a curse. There are fairy tale characters. They don't remember who they are. They have all been transported from the Enchanted Forest to a town called Storybrooke. There's a savior called Emma. She can break the curse. And what happens in the finale?
She breaks the curse. Which, but it still left a lot of room to explore because she broke the curse, but they're still in the real world. And Rumple is obviously up to no good.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I do love that ending where she breaks the curse. Everybody starts to, first of all, everybody remembers who they are. Like the rainbow wave goes out through the town. Everybody remembers who they are. But then pretty quickly, people are like, hang on a second. Or I can't remember who says it, but somebody's like, well, wait, why didn't they all return? Like, why haven't we all returned to the Enchanted Forest if the curse is broken? And everybody's like, we don't know. Like, what's
Clearly
going on
more
there?
going on. We
yeah.
still got a final battle, too. That's part of the prophecy as well.
Yeah.
Unless...
That's true. You're giving me a look.
I'm just thinking about the dragon scene.
Yeah. We'll get there. Yeah, so overall, a very satisfying finale, I would say. Let's dig right into it. So we open... Did you watch the like previously on Once Upon a Time?
I had to.
Yeah.
I tried skipping past it.
No, I think you
then
should.
I didn't realize
I'm glad you did.
like where the previously on ended and the show started.
So you did see it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's good. I don't think that's like there's no rules, whatever.
Yeah.
So you basically
we're making up the rules.
Yeah, we're making up the rules. Basically, so you get a little bit of insight into that Emma Regina gave Emma an apple turnover that she baked herself and poisoned or cursed, basically.
Well, you don't even have to say that. We know.
Yeah. So basically, Emma's like decided she's gonna, from the previous episode, Emma's decided she's gonna leave Storybrooke. Henry, basically, in order to stop her, says, no, you can't leave, and I believe in you, and I know you're gonna break the curse, and I know you're gonna save me, and I know this apple turnover is poison, and he takes a big old bite out of it and passes out. But that's not actually where we start. We start in the Enchanted Forest with Charming escaping from the evil queen.
Mm-hmm. And this is where I was confused. I'm
yes.
like,
and
why is Charming alive?
Yeah.
Why is he in jail?
well, this is, so this was previously, this is back in time from the pilot even. And yeah, we start with him escaping the queen. To be fair.
Sorry, can I read the comment that I wrote?
It hit me.
I said, okay, the prince is in jail, Snow is missing. Is this before, or are we just in Dream Daddy's head right now?
He is a dream daddy.
I mean, I don't know. He could still be in a coma for all I know right now.
True facts. Yeah, and he's not in a coma at this point. We see him later. From what I remember, he gets out of the coma pretty quickly, actually, in terms of like where that happens in the season. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we are back in time in the Enchanted Forest. In the previous episode, the evil queen has captured Charming and has, at this point, given Snow the poisoned apple, and Snow has, eaten the poisoned apple. So she's under a sleeping curse, and Charming's trying to escape to save her. We get a quick cut of the sheriff.
Is he the huntsman?
He's the huntsman, yes.
Okay.
So, spoiler alert, at this point in season 1, his character is dead in the real world.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Regina crushes his heart.
Oh, like literally?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. She has like a secret underground vault in Storybrooke in the graveyard under the grave of her father. Yeah, bro.
She is not subtle.
No, she's nuts. In the best way. And she has a bunch of hearts she's stored, like taken from people and stored down there because she controls them with their heart. So she's you find out earlier in the season that she's been controlling Graham, who's the sheriff. She's been controlling him all along, and she has his heart. And at one point, him and Emma are getting a little too cozy, and she crushes his heart.
I mean, what do you expect? Hot sheriff? Hot new girl?
Yeah. Sparks were flying. But anyway, so we do get a quick cut of him. He's helping Charming escape for some reason. I don't even really remember what that is, what his motivation is. It's not really important. Anyway, Charming escapes, and that's it, right? That's just him escaping is the opening.
I did write here, oh my god, even the candelabras are CGI.
It's a lot of CGI.
It's a lot of CGI, and I will say it's probably the biggest sin of what I've seen of these 2 episodes is the CGI in this scene.
Okay.
It's rough. It is rough.
I mean, if that's your biggest problem, I think we're doing okay.
If you can suspend your disbelief enough and
that has never bothered me.
Yeah.
I've just been like, okay.
But for me, jumping into this cold, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I get it. Yeah, so that's basically it. He escapes. And now we're back in Storybrooke, and Emma is rushing Henry to the hospital.
She's still wearing that red leather jacket.
She's got the jacket back on. And by the way, if y'all look up like gift sets of this first season, she's got a blue leather jacket. She's got a gray leather jacket. She's got a whole bunch of leather jackets.
She rolled into town with all those leather jackets?
She had, no, she did not, in fact. I don't know. We don't address where she gets her wardrobe.
All right, new headcanon. Storybrooke has one fashion store and it only sells leather.
You know, that's entirely possible. I would say, I would amend that to say leather and flannel. There's a lot of flannel because we're in Maine, y'all.
We're in Maine.
Yeah, so she's wearing the red leather jacket because it's hero time, y'all. It's hero time. But she brings Henry in. The doctors and nurses are there. They're wheeling him in on a stretcher. He's passed out, you know, mysteriously. Like, something is definitely wrong. His vitals are going crazy. They can't figure it out. Emma is losing her shit. She's freaking out about this. And I think this is a moment where she's like suddenly realizing like, oh, I really care about this kid. And we've been kind of building towards that the whole season. Even from the pilot, you were starting to see that. This is definitely like a come to Jesus moment for her.
Yeah.
Of her realizing like, shit, I care about this kid. I see this kid as my son now.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it before.
And she's like refusing to leave the room. She's like trying to help the doctors as much as she can. Like, it's arsenic.
Yeah. The doctor, Dr. Whale, he can't explain it. Who do you think Dr. Whale is? What's his fairy tale character?
Isn't there a whale in Pinocchio?
No, actually his name, I don't know why.
Story of Jonah and the whale.
I don't know why they call him Dr. Whale. Actually, I don't think it really has anything to do with his character. But what do you like? What's a doctor? It's not, honestly, it's not even really a Disney story that it comes from.
Completely drawing a blank here.
He's Dr. Frankenstein.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
We're grabbing Mary Shelley over here?
Yeah, buddy.
Damn.
And I don't know.
Does he get up to some stuff later?
He gets up to some stuff in season 1, dude.
Oh, well.
He's been up to some stuff. We kind of see his backstory at one point. I'm pretty sure it's in season 1.
I mean, I did write down too that he knows Emma by name.
Yes.
So they clearly have established.
Well, yeah, and what you don't, I mean, I think you hear Regina call her sheriff later, but Emma's the sheriff now.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, so Graham dies. Regina crushes Graham's heart. Nobody knows that Regina did it, but he dies. He has a heart attack. And suddenly there's no sheriff. And she was working with him and she was sort of his deputy. And then all of a sudden, she's the sheriff.
He's the sheriff.
And
sheriff
y'all, let me tell you, the Sheriff Swan Mayor Mills dynamic, it's real good. It's real good.
I gotta ask right now.
Yep.
Those two.
Yep.
Are they shipped?
Oh, yeah. Are they shipped by me? Yes. Big time. Can you tell?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, would you agree with that assessment?
I mean, yeah, from what little I know.
From what little you can see?
Yeah, because I mean, we're about to get into it, but
yeah.
I have comments about the way Emma's so quick to team up with.
So do I. Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We are getting ahead of ourselves. So we're in the hospital. Will can't explain it. And I did want to make a quick note here again that Henry's wearing red and gray plaid. A red and gray plaid shirt.
Yeah.
Throwing it back again to the color symbolism from the pilot that we discussed. Yeah, so they're like, what's going on? We don't know. And Will's like, it's like, and then he kind of trails off. And then Emma goes,
yeah,
it's like magic.
And this to me was like, we're 22 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just now clocking it. Like, I am genuinely surprised it took. I mean, I am and I'm not, right? Because we're talking about cable TV where you got to stretch it out across 22 episodes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's now the season finale and now she's just starting to accept all of this stuff is real.
So I love when you can make points like this. I like to try and explain away these type of points. Like, that's my happy place. So I think the way I would explain this is that she has just had this major trauma sort of happen with Henry. She's just had this big realization of like, oh my God, I care about this kid. He's my son. She's like finally accepted through this that she was about to leave before this episode. Like, she was about to be gone. What?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And when her and Regina are fighting later, she says something to that effect. So she's had this kind of like trauma happen. And I don't know, to me, I feel like that can trigger you to realize things. And like maybe she's, putting some pieces together before that she was ignoring, honestly, throughout this whole time because she's been so staunchly against the idea of magic and the curse.
You're forced to confront things.
Yes.
You wouldn't want to otherwise.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in that moment of like trying to find an answer that explains something horrible that's happened.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which in this case, she finds the right answer.
Yeah. Yeah, so she has like, there's like a close up on her face, realizing we do like a pull focus shot, and she has like some kind of vision thing happen where she's like, the book is there, and I think, is she touching the book, or is she just kind of looking
the
at
book,
it?
and then the vision thing happens. I didn't get if that's something that she saw or was for the benefit of the audience.
I didn't either. My impression was, though, that it was like a vision she was having. And, you know, like that might go to savior, prophecy, magic, etc., etc. You know, I could see that. And the fact that she dialed into it so quickly also.
Yeah, then that would explain it as just like a general plot device of,
yeah,
we got to get her fully up to speed.
Right, exactly.
She's on board now.
Yeah, she's on board immediately.
Prophecy vision.
Yes, exactly. It's a little bit out of left field, I would say. It's not like super explained, or you know what I mean? It feels a little out of place, like she's suddenly just having this vision. But like you said, it's a plot device. Like we gotta keep this.
We gotta
moving.
move the plot.
We
got more important shit.
We got 43 minutes here. Yeah. So she's having this vision. It's so fun if you're watching this, because in the background you see Regina come in the background as Emma is like pulling out of this vision, and you hear her like go over to Henry and be like, say, you know, like, oh my God, what's going on? And then Emma gets real mad. She gets real pissed.
I wrote down right here at this moment, fight, 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 fight.
Yeah. We're about to get into it. So she gets real mad. She drags Regina by the arm into this storage closet, I guess, slams the door closed. And y'all, this is it. This is like the battle we've been waiting for this whole season. And they've been fighting this whole time, honestly. They have a confrontation almost every episode, but they haven't really had it out like this before. So, yeah, the tensions have heightened.
And it's like they both have to drop the mask at this point.
Yeah.
Not that Emma's necessarily wearing one, but she's let go of I am denying all of this.
Right.
I am accepting it now. I'm going to let that mask down and confront her. And Regina's like, yeah, shit, okay.
Yeah. I want to dig into this a little bit. So I love this scene. So yeah, so Emma throws her into the closet, which there's a metaphor there, y'all. You know, I wish it was, you know, throwing her out of the closet, but whatever. We'll get I
mean, this is ABC in 2011.
Yep.
So
yep, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Throws her in there. She like crashes against this like rack of supplies or whatever. Emma then throws her back against these lockers and like pins her against these lockers. And yeah, if you've been watching this whole season, you're like, is there some sexual tension in there? I don't know, maybe a little bit.
I think there is.
But mostly Emma's really, really freaking pissed. And she's like, it's all true, isn't it? Like, you did this, blah, blah. Like, just blowing up at her. The actresses are doing work in this scene, truly. Between, the like pure rage on Emma's face. And then what I love here is that Regina at first, she does this thing where she kind of protests. She's like, she does like a weird voice. She's like, what are you doing? My son. and you can tell it's in such a way that she's like hoping someone's going to overhear and like come in and defend her or something, or like basically get this woman off of me. But she's not really afraid at this point. She's still trying to spin it. She's still trying to spin it to her advantage.
That's like her MO.
That's her MO. That's what she does.
Yeah.
Emma quickly says, he ate the apple turnover you gave me. It like immediately drops on Regina's face. She's like, what? You know, she's like freaking out. And Emma's like, he ate it and he passed out. Like, what did you do? And she was like, it was meant for you. Like, she starts getting kind of upset, but now you can tell she's afraid. She's like scared, more sad, I think, than anything, which is an interesting choice. Like, she's angry, and then Emma's like, it's all true, isn't it? All of it. And at first Regina's like, what? And then she's like, the curse, everything, it's all true. And then she just kind of like, all the fight just kind of goes out of her. And I love this choice. She just kind of bangs her head against the back of the lockers, and you hear this like metallic thud noise. Like, I felt that noise when she did that. I was like, oof. And she's like, yeah, it's real. And
it's a very interesting choice too, as like a viewer, again, coming into this cold of, we're not going to do this farce anymore. We're not going to do this back and forth of like, maybe
it's
not,
over.
maybe no.
And they've been doing that.
All pretense.
Yep.
we're in it now.
Yeah. And the catalyst is Henry's life is in danger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes sense because at this point, that's both of their motivations.
Exactly. And going to be the thing that unites them.
Yep. Regina admits the curse is real, and then Emma is like still kind of mad, but like the fight's starting to go out of her, and she's like, well, can't you fix it with magic? And she's like, that's the last of the magic.
And this was where I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
This did not work out the way she thought it would.
No.
This is not her happy ever after that she wanted.
Nope. This is some Shakespearean dramatic irony, y'all.
Yeah. I like my, not that my jaw hit the floor because it wasn't that dramatic, but like, yeah, like
you feel it though.
I felt it. I was like, oh, okay. All right. This was not her plan.
No, not
this
at all.
This is all gone.
Well, yeah, and Emma says, pear-shaped, and Emma says something to the effect of like, I was gone. Like, I was leaving. Why did you have to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why did you, and she's like, I had to make sure that you weren't going to come back and steal Henry from me.
The queen is truly the queen of irony, isn't she?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of her tragic backstory that she kind of, well, there's a lot. I'll get into it later.
She always creates her own problems.
Partially, yeah. There's a lot of other shit that happens to her, too. But
is it Rumple Bumple?
Yeah, partly. Yeah, among other things. Yeah, she's like, that's the last of my magic. Like, there's nothing left. Then at that point, all the fight goes out of Emma. She lets her go. She backs up a step and she immediately says, so what do we do?
Which, yeah, I wrote down,
oh, yeah.
Oh, Emma still believing in the best of people. But yeah, I love that moment.
Like, that's not something that Emma does, I will say. I don't think Emma does.
She's such a cynical person.
Yeah, Emma does not believe the best in people.
But I genuinely, like I said, like in the first episode, there is a small, tiny part of her that is still hanging on to magic, not in the fantasy sense.
Yeah,
like magic and hope and something beautiful in the world. There is a tiny piece of that she clings to.
She holds on to the idea of decency in people.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for me, this was another moment where like that character trait within her really comes out and comes to the forefront in such a dramatic moment.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's
and
really awesome.
Also like just subverting this idea that because they're enemies, they have to stay enemies. No, they're gonna team up and they're gonna work together.
Mm-hmm.
I am here for.
Yeah.
I like it.
And to be honest, like, so throughout most of the season, they have been fighting. They've been at each other's throats, but there have also been moments of understanding between them, I would say. And I do think, especially at this point, they respect each other in terms of like, this is a worthy opponent sort of situation. It definitely takes Regina longer to get to that place than it does for Emma. They've had a couple of moments here and there where they like almost sort of kind of agree on something. But yeah, this is definitely the first moment where it's like, we have a job to do. Like, we got to do this together. She's like, yeah, so what do we do? And Regina's like truly devastated. And she's like, well, there's only one other person who in this town who knows what's going on, who knows about the curse. So we got to go see him. And then Emma goes, Mr. Gold? And she goes, actually, we call him Rumpelstiltskin.
It's Rumple Bumple.
Rumple Bumble. I think at this point, now we're going back to the Enchanted Forest.
Yes, we go back to Eve because my next comment is Bumple is covered in leather.
Yeah, the leather's back. I do believe at this point it is crocodile skin.
Okay, yeah, I can see it because it was definitely a reptile-ish vibe going on there.
And yeah, I don't think anybody has referred to him yet as the crocodile, but it's coming. So yeah, he has a whole leather outfit. His costume is quite good, I think, in this. Honestly, I think David's costumes are all charming. His real name is David, or his storybook name. Real world. Yeah, actually, I do think his actual name in Fairy Tale Land is David as well.
Which, I mean, I wouldn't know because Bumple referred to him as charming.
Yeah. And most people do in the fairy tale context. But anyway, basically, Rumple's trying to make this true love potion, and he's gonna use Charming to do it. Charming's trying to find Snow, and, he makes a deal with Rumple to make this true love potion so that Rumple will give him this, like, magical ring that's going to lead him to Snow White, where she has been cursed.
And I at least for me, this was definitely the moment where it's set in stone in my head. He is probably the key antagonist here.
Rumple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he is so good at manipulating.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and again, it comes back to...
He's doing the voice again.
Yeah, he does the voice again, but he drops it. He goes back and forth between, I'm crazy, and, okay, let's talk business.
And serious, yeah.
And it's done so effectively to manipulate the prince.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the moment for me where I was like, okay, all right. He's probably the real villain here. All right.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, it truly does all go back to him in some way for most things throughout the whole show, basically. They have like a little sword fight. It's cute, but basically that's just to set up that they're making a deal. Okay, and then we cut back to Gold's shop. Emma and Regina are heading in there to... Am I missing something?
Yeah, I have David. Oh, the prince is out of his coma. He gives a nice little romantic speech to Margaret Mary. And then she shoots him. Sorry.
No, you're good. She has 2 names. It's confusing.
It's too much. The alliteration is just, I can't.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Anyway, Snow shoots him down. And he can go fucking piss off to Boston. And then I wrote, wait a second, they can leave?
Yeah. No, they can't. So he thinks he's leaving, but if the curse hadn't broken at the end of the episode, something else would have happened to prevent him from going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar to how Emma crashed her car in the pilot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do have a comment. The true love
so they have their
potion.
little conversation.
So they have a conversation. He's going to leave. And I don't know what's happened between him and Snow.
I just know
he's out of a coma.
Yeah. You want the gist?
She's mad at him for some reason.
Yeah. So from what I remember, he wakes up out of the coma. They find out he's married.
Oh.
To somebody else. And I don't remember who that... It's a woman. I don't remember who that character is
real
exactly.
Life human? No, he can't be married to a real life. He was been in a coma this whole time.
Except he is.
Right?
Yeah. In Storybrooke, married. Yeah. And yeah, it's when we find that out, it's very much like this woman shows up at his bedside. He's woken up. This woman shows up at his bedside, and like Regina's also there. So like I don't remember the full details. It's another princess, I think. I truly don't remember. It does tie into some other plot line from the Enchanted Forest that relates to Snow and Charming's backstory. So there's that. But basically, he's married. So for a lot of the season, they're actually sort of having an affair. Snow and, Mary Margaret and David. And they both feel bad about it, I think. But they're still doing it. And I think at this point, they've both decided, or at least Mary Margaret has decided, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is wrong. You know, leave your wife and be with me, or don't. Like, and I don't remember exactly what he does, but yeah, clearly at this point they're sort of at an impasse in their relationship.
And so he's gonna leave, and
yeah. So that's what's going on there.
Yep. And then it went back to the woods, back to the Eve, where you do get the idea of the love potion, and Rumple Bumple wants to hide it somewhere. So he puts it in a Fabergé egg and gives it to the prince and says,
"Oh,
put
right,
this in the belly of a beast."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then from there we go to Gold Shop.
Yep. And then we end up at the pawn shop.
All right, cool. I
Is it a
skipped
pawn
that.
shop?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pawn shop.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole idea behind that is like he's collected all this sort of like magical stuff, and that's where he kind of hoards all his treasure.
That makes sense.
So he's made so many deals with people throughout the years. Like he just has amassed this like sort of magical treasure, and there's all kinds of knickknacks in his shop. Okay, so we go into Gold Shop, and Emma and Regina are there to meet him, and it's pretty much like the gloves are off right away. Like he knows what's going down. He's like, I see. He says something about like, I see you've like started, believing or whatever. And basically Emma's like, whatever, dude, can you help us or not? And she, again, this is another moment where she's immediately referring to her and Regina as an us, and kind of by proxy Henry as well. Like, can you help us? Not can you help Henry? Can you help us? Just wanted to point that out. So yeah, Rumple has bottled true love in a potion. Regina doesn't know any of this. She's like, what? Like, she has no idea what's going on. And he says something about how he created the dark curse.
Yes, but he used the love potion to have like a hole. Escape.
He put a little back door in there.
Yeah. And
he put a little safety. I forget what he says.
Yeah, but it essentially is Emma. He like made her to be the hero.
Right.
Which
he told the prophecy to Snow and Charming.
So in a way, in a very roundabout way, I was right. He did make that shit up on the spot.
Yeah. I do think he's supposed to have some like sort of magical foresight ability in some ways.
Yeah, it is alluded to that in the first episode.
Yeah. So
which would explain why he's so good at manipulating.
True facts. Yeah, and he says that he created the dark curse. Yeah, I just thought this was really interesting. Obviously, he's being super creepy and manipulative. Regina's being very quiet overall, and you just get this, I don't know, I just get this feeling of kind of defeat off her.
Well, yeah, because it's
she's just going along with this at this point because she has no choice.
I mean, it is a come to Jesus moment for her, where she realizes she did not have as much power and control over the situation as she thought she did.
Oh, yeah. He says, I just built in just a little safety valve, and he just like looks over at Regina. Oh yeah, and then and he says something about like, I've been
saving it for
a rainy day, and then Emma goes, well, it's storming like a bitch, so where is it?
Again, banger one-liners
banger of a line.
Show. I love it.
I wrote it down. It's a good one.
Bolded it in my notes.
Y'all, that's Emma Swan. That's my girl right there. She gets
no bullshit.
Yeah. She gets a little watered down in later seasons, sadly. That's her, y'all. That's her right there. Yeah, and then Regina's immediately like, don't trust him. And Emma's goes, what choice do we have?
Girl, she's got a point.
Yeah, true. First of all, she has points. Second of all, you said we again. Like, what is this we, Emma? And then Gold says, like, where you're going to need some help. And he opens this box.
Okay, before you reveal what's in the box. He lays this box down on the counter. It is a long case.
Yep.
Not very wide or tall.
Kind of looks like a guitar case, an electric guitar case.
Yeah, but narrower, right? Yeah. My immediate thought was, it's a gun. And I'm just like, oh, my American brain rot. Why would they have a gun in a fairy tale land? Of course, it's a sword.
She has a gun.
Well, hey, spoilers, we're getting to that.
So they open the case, and Regina and Emma are looking inside it. You don't see what's inside it yet. And Emma's like, what's that? And they show it, and then Rumple says, that's your father's sword.
It's a sword. It's not a gun.
Yeah, it's a sword, not a gun. Yeah. Because
it was a fairy tale, y'all. Springfield action rifle.
Yeah.
Thought we were going Red Dead, but nope.
Okay, what do you have after this scene? Because my next notes are when they're back at the hospital.
I wrote, who the fuck is Jefferson?
Oh, okay. So is it back to the hospital though?
Yeah, because
who the fuck is Jefferson? Oh my god, I'm gonna have so much fun with this.
He confronts Regina, I think. I just said, damn it, Jefferson, kill her. And I'm assuming that her is Regina.
Yeah.
And then I wrote, okay, but for real, who is this bro?
Yeah.
So help me out here.
Do you recognize who it is?
No.
Okay, we'll get there. Okay, so we are back at the hospital. I have this written in my notes as Hospital Part 2. Emma goes into Henry's room in the ICU or whatever, and she's talking to him, and she brings him the book and sticks it under his pillow, and she's like she's like almost crying. She's on the verge of tears, and she's basically just saying like, we're trying to fix it, like, hang in there. I don't remember exactly what she says. She comes really close to giving him a little smooch on the forehead, but she doesn't yet. But it almost looks like she's going to. And then she moves away from the bed, and Regina comes in, and Emma completely switches tone, and she's like, "You have 10 minutes. Like, say what you gotta say, then we gotta go." This was very interesting to me because this is normally like Emma using that tone with Regina. Regina would normally be fighting. She'd be like, let's go. Like, I will fight you.
Like, claws out.
Yeah, claws out. And she's just like, you know where to meet? And Emma's like, yeah, be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're on a team now.
They're on a team, and like, Regina is
on a team.
Yeah, begrudgingly on a team, reluctant allies. And also, Regina's defeated. Regina's just like so depressed about this. And she should be. It's kind of her fault.
Her whole world is falling apart.
Her literal entire world is falling apart, yes, in more ways than one, but particularly with Henry. And then, yeah, she goes, this is really sweet. She goes up to Henry, and all she says is, I'm sorry. And
which, like, you should be.
Yeah.
You poisoned your son indirectly, but you are putting his life in danger. That is your fault.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can, like, it's a very genuine moment from her. Like, you can see she really feels bad about this, and she loves him.
Does she? We'll get into that.
Yeah. And, and then we get baby Sebastian Stan, y'all, as Jefferson. Sebastian Stan is the actor.
Okay.
He plays the Winter Soldier in Marvel. He must have shot this show like right before. When did Captain America come out? I want to say Captain America also came out in 2011. So he either shot this show right before it or during it, like around the same time. Anyway, so yeah, we have baby Sebastian Stan as Jefferson. Who do you think Jefferson is? What character do you think he is?
He the mirror?
No, good guess though. There is a character who plays the mirror. He's not in this episode though.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I guessed,
Yeah.
at least a character that exists. I got no other ideas then.
He's the Mad Hatter. Yeah. In this version of the Alice in Wonderland story, Alice is his daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. So
interesting.
He's the Mad Hatter. His hat is magic. It can create magic portals. I think that becomes relevant at some point. That's all I kind of remember about him. He's like a little crazy,
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I did not write more about him other than who the fuck is this
Yeah,
Jefferson?
he does kind of just show up.
Because like especially at least from what I've seen and in the plot of this episode, he doesn't play a major role.
Yeah. What him and Regina's conversation ends up being is that he somehow, I believe, procured the magic or the cursed apple or whatever it is that she used to make the apple turnover that was supposed to go to Emma. So they made some kind of deal where he was getting her that magic or that curse, and then she was going to do something for him. I think something to do with helping him with his daughter, find his daughter. And she's just like, bro, as far as I'm concerned, our deal is off. Like, it all went to shit. Like, and he's like,
it went pear-shaped.
It went pear-shaped.
I'm gonna keep using.
Ba-dum-dum-ch. And yeah, she's like, our deal's off. And the evil queen comes back a little bit here, where she's like, don't test me, bro. Like, you want to kill me, but I know you can't do it. I know you don't have the guts. That's basically the gist of that. And that's it. And then she leaves. And he doesn't come back at this point. He comes back later, I think.
Yeah, I think he like comes in for a hot second.
Oh, he does have a little. Yes,
he
does.
There.
Yeah, he does have a little role later. Okay, so that is our scene, and then Emma goes to visit August.
Again, another character.
Again, who is this guy?
Who the fuck is this?
I mean, I'm assuming you figured out who it is.
Pinocchio.
It is indeed Pinocchio
because he's already part wood.
Yeah. So August is an interesting character. He's Pinocchio. He also is an outsider from the curse. So I think you find out at some point that somehow Geppetto is able to put Pinocchio through the wardrobe as well.
See, because, okay, all right. Yeah. I was wondering a little bit because we get introduced to Geppetto in the first episode in the jail cell.
Yes.
And he makes the comment that he always wanted children. Him and his wife tried, never happened.
Yep.
Which I was a little curious because I'm like, all right, then where's Pinocchio? Mm-hmm. What happened to his son?
Here he is. Yep. So he also escaped the curse, and he was, like you saw him in the pilot. He was maybe 5, 6.
Yeah, he was young.
So he also grew up in the real world, and I can't remember how he exactly gets introduced into the plot, but he basically is there, and he also knows the prophecy and basically is trying to, throughout the season, convince Emma that this is real and, you're the savior. And, he's doing it subtly. He's like just trying to help her out and stuff. But yeah, his whole thing is that like this whole time he's been slowly petrifying, turning into wood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he's racing against a clock of his own.
Yeah.
To try and fix this curse. But
which does make my next note a little more justified.
Okay.
Which is we do have the trope of character shows up just in the nick of time to hear other characters' last words before they croak.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's dead. He's not dead.
No, he just becomes a full wooden boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still you hit the trope there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the purpose of the scene overall is more to give Emma more like emotional, as if there wasn't enough emotional stuff going on already. Now we get like, her friend August is also
it's just another way to raise the stakes.
Yeah, just raising the stakes a little bit more. And I think we are tying up August's kind of story throughout this season. So that's there. And now, are we at the library?
Yeah.
So, Emma meets Regina at the library, which is the building underneath the clock tower. So we go in there and Regina unlocks the door. We go in there and Emma's like, what is this place? And Regina goes and like messes around with some stuff on the wall. The wall like magics away and there's this like
the magical lift.
Yeah, there's like a secret elevator back there. It looks pretty cool. It's a pretty cool set design.
Yeah, I like it.
You know, it's got some like
very solid.
Yeah.
Like gears going.
Yeah. What's the style I'm thinking of?
A little steampunk.
A little steampunky. Yeah. Which would have been right in line with that time period.
Oh my god.
2011,
yes.
2012. Yeah. We were all obsessed.
Oh, throwback to steampunk.
So they're gonna go down Emma's gonna go down and fight some unknown beast to get this egg.
I do have a comment here too. It's very clear what the stakes are as well, where Emma is willing to work with Regina.
Yep.
But also not gonna like, I don't know, she's not willing to fuck around. Like if something goes wrong, if Regina tries to betray her, she is willing to kill Regina. Or like, maybe not that dramatic, but
yeah.
We are very clear on Emma's not going to be taken for a fool. That's the phrase I'm looking for.
Yes, very much so. I do love this interaction as well. I mean, I love basically any interaction they have. But yeah, so basically Regina's like, you have to go down in the elevator. Like, I have to operate the elevator from up here. That's the way it works. And Emma's immediately like, that doesn't sound.
No. Plus, the beast isn't going to want to see.
She's like, also, I shouldn't be going down there.
It's a little awkward.
It's a little awkward.
I kind of trapped her here as a dragon. Whoops.
I don't think she tells her it's a dragon.
No.
Yeah. Which is funny. And yeah, they're kind of arguing about that. And then Regina's like, I don't think you have much choice in the matter, Miss Swan. Miss Swan is like one of her many. She's alternates between Sheriff Swan, Miss Swan. She never calls her Emma because that would mean they're friends.
No, you can't respect her.
Yeah, and like
show any respect.
Emma alternates between Madam Mayor, Mayor Mills. She does call her Regina sometimes. And then we get one Your Majesty in there, which is nice. So they
again, I like
they have a lot of pet names for each other
titles in a very ironic way.
Yeah, in a very ironic
just to snub you.
Yeah, it's a little cute though. Okay. And she says, I don't think you have much choice in the matter, Miss Swan. And I wrote in my notes, God, I miss the Miss Swan Mayor Mills days. and then that's when Emma says, let's be clear about something, Your Majesty. And then she says, like, if Henry dies, so do you.
Yes. And okay, she is threatening to kill her.
She is threatening here. But here's the kicker. Regina just looks at her and is like, yes, you're correct. Like, she's like, yes, I will die if Henry dies. Like, that will be my downfall. Her actual line is something like, well, let's get on with it then. But that's basically, she's basically agreeing with her. Yeah. She's like, yep.
She's not trying to counter that or defend against it.
She doesn't fight back at all. And which is insane. So after the initial fight that they have, Regina's not really fighting against her at all this whole episode, which is insane.
She does not have a lot of like agency, I guess. She doesn't have any power left, both in the sense of magic.
Yep.
But also in her sense of control of the plot.
Right. And yeah, like the most important thing to her is in danger, which is Henry. So Emma goes and fights a dragon.
Yeah, and this is where we start cross-cutting between Eve and Storybrooke.
Were you confused by that?
No, I thought it was wonderfully done.
I thought it was too.
And I thought it was a good touch to show basically you have Prince Charming trying to get the Fabergé egg into Maleficent, who is a dragon.
Yep.
And you have Emma trying to get the Fabergé egg out of Maleficent. So you have both of them fighting the dragon, cross-cut, boom, boom,
different
boom.
times, different realms.
I also loved the Jaws reference.
Oh, what was that?
So when the prince first walks up to Maleficent, and he's like, I'm gonna need, or he's like, where's the beast? And she's like, I'm the beast. And then he says, I'm gonna need a smaller egg.
Okay, I don't know Jaws super well.
Oh, it's the classic line of we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna need a smaller egg. Yeah, sure.
Which is recycled all throughout pop culture.
Why not?
Yeah, it's a great line.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And then I also have the wonderful note. I fucking died when Emma like throws the sword aside and is just like, fuck this, and
Draws
pulls
her
out
gun.
a gun. And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
American brain rot.
Well, and now you understand she's the sheriff, so she carries a gun.
But I was
yeah.
dying. I'm like, Emma, we're on the same page.
Yeah, and again, that's my girl, y'all. That's who she is. Yep, she pulls out her gun. Not that it really does her much good in the end.
No.
She kind of just runs around with it for a while. But yeah, I do love the cross cutting here. I also love that, we're comparing Emma with her father, and they, sort of have similar styles of heroism, if you will.
Yeah.
And
both cut from the same cloth.
Cut from the same cloth.
Tough and brave.
Yeah. Very, very heroic. And I also love that they just randomly put the glass coffin down there. I thought that was fun.
Nice
I was like,
touch.
oh, that's there. Cool. Interesting. Which makes you if you want to think about that, you're like, oh, what? Did Regina put that down there? Like, how did it get there,
Yeah, like, what did Regina choose to bring into this world with her?
Right.
And why?
Well, and like, how much choice did she have in bringing stuff over?
Because again, she didn't create the curse.
Correct.
Rumple Bumple did.
Yeah, she enacted the curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's many questions there. Yeah, so the glass coffin's down there, and then eventually Emma has to go back and pick up the sword. And I love this moment also that at the end, to eventually vanquish the dragon, she does the same throwing the sword move. I
was like, she did the same move that her papa did.
Yeah,
only
as
she
Charming
hit the target.
Only she hit it. The same move that Charming does in the pilot to try and kill Regina, to kill the evil queen. And she does the same thing and just kind of throws it over her head, and it's like a spear sort of, and the dragon kind of explodes into dust, and we find the egg.
I would say more ash.
Ash, sure. Fear not, that is not the last we see of Maleficent. Really? Yeah, I don't I remember that she comes back. I don't remember in what way she comes back. But yep, so she gets the egg, and yeah, it's hilarious that she tries to use her gun. And I thought, I thought the dragon looked decent. Again,
Yeah, I have no complaints on the CGI there.
It's not bad.
No.
It's not bad. It didn't take me out of it.
Yeah, no. I think the issue that I had in the beginning is you're using CGI for the set.
Yeah.
And when you have CGI as the set,
it's like static, and
it needs to be versus like a CGI creature. We've seen that for decades now. So we're used to lower quality there. If it is lower quality, it's a lot easier to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
But when it's the set itself,
yeah,
it needs to be good.
And I mean, the budget's got to be distributed,
And sound off in the comments if you disagree with me. I'm curious to hear your opinion on
Email
this.
us your takes. We do want to hear them for sure. Okay, what I have next is Snow and Henry, and then Jefferson and Belle. What do you got?
There was a brief scene in the middle of the dragon fight.
Okay.
Where I wrote, who is this Snow White looking doppelganger locked up in the basement?
You thought she also looked like Snow White?
This is my point.
Is this like white people all look the same?
Kind of. I don't know. Again, sound off in the comments. Like, this decade of television, I swear to God, they casted like the same one actress and just duplicated her.
I think they look different.
But
again, I could be biased because I know what they look like.
Yeah, I was like, is she Snow White? And then I'm like, she's not Snow White. Who is she? I don't know.
Okay, so I said her name. Did you catch what I said?
No.
Okay, before we do that, real quick, I do believe after Emma's vanquished the dragon, I do believe we cut to Charming pulling himself out of the lake.
Yes.
Or is that later?
Well, it kind of speeds up. Charming comes out of the lake after he kills the dragon.
Yep, Rumple's there.
And Rumple Bumple gives him the ring. But it's still one of those moments of, what's he playing at?
Yeah.
And then...
Okay, I do think it is after that, actually. So we'll cover this. So
okay,
we go to Snow reading to Henry in the hospital.
See, I don't even have that written down.
Yeah, it's super quick. But what happens is she's reading the storybook to Henry.
I believe so.
And Henry goes into like cardiac arrest or something. All his monitors start freaking out. The doctors and nurses come in. Snow's freaking out, Mary Margaret, and things are getting bad. However, Jefferson uses that as a distraction to go downstairs into the psych ward, basically, where a mysterious woman is being held captive in one of the cells. Technically, yeah.
Ugh, that's
they
such a depressing psych ward.
Yeah, it's definitely meant to be
Dungeony.
Yep, for sure. And yeah, he goes and frees this woman, and he says, "Go to Gold and tell Gold that Regina's been keeping you locked up."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you got any guesses on who this woman is?
I mean, is it Alice? Because you mentioned Alice in Wonderland.
No,
Okay.
it's not Alice. Alice, I do believe, is a child.
Okay.
We
so
have not
scratch
actually
that.
seen her.
Is it Sleeping Beauty?
Getting warmer. Think classic princess. Yes, you
Asia?
do. No,
that's not right.
just keep listening. You'll get there.
Cinderella?
Nope.
Belle?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Belle. In Storybrooke.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
You got it. We got there.
Sorry, well, I'm not the quickest.
What did you realize though? Take us through your thought process.
She's locked up.
She's locked up.
I mean, okay, to be fair, in my defense, I feel like that is common in fairy tales.
Princesses being locked up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
It's
she
not
could have been
uncommon.
Rapunzel, you know?
Yeah, her hair was pretty short for that. But
Okay,
yeah.
fair. But yeah.
Yeah, so she's Belle. Regina's had her locked up in this psych ward for the entirety of the curse, the last 28 years. Now,
Cool.
everybody is a little bit sort of on a loop in this curse, so I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I was
never
wondering
fully
how the logic of that works.
Yeah, it's never fully addressed in like how people perceive time.
Which you don't need to.
No, you really don't. It's like you just accept it.
Yeah, I mean, for the magical realism
Yeah.
of the world.
Yeah.
Like, there's things that you can just be like, nope, that's just the thing.
Yep.
And it exists.
This is a rule of the world. Here it is. Belle has been locked up this whole time. The reason Regina has had Belle locked up this whole time is because Belle's beast is, fill it in the blank. You saw it at the end of the episode. The beast to Belle's Belle
Is Rumplebumple?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he has kind of a double character in that sense. He's the beast. They are sort of a couple. It's weird.
I like it.
It's weird.
Interesting twist.
Yep. And they have a whole backstory where she ends up in his Rumple has his own castle in the Enchanted Forest. And she ends up in his castle because some deal her father made in order to save their kingdom from a war. I want to say the Ogre War.
Okay.
And Rumple says, "Cool, I want your daughter to be my maid," basically. And her dad does it. Her dad makes a trade. Or she agrees to it, I think, because she knows her kingdom's fucked if they don't get some support to win this war. So she agrees to it, essentially becomes, his captive. And then, there's like a little love story, and like they eventually sort of understand each other better and sort of fall in love. I mean, their love story is like very sketchy, There's definitely
You're not selling me on it.
No, there's some Stockholm syndrome in there for sure.
I mean, again, like considering the era, that was definitely it was the era of pop feminism, if you will let me call it that, where like BuzzFeed articles of, the ways that Disney is anti-feminist, and it would list off things like Belle having Stockholm syndrome. Like there was a lot of, I want to say, like surface level feminist critique going on at the time.
Yeah.
And Disney definitely responded to it. And I think, like, even think about the live action Beauty and the Beast. There's a lot of attempts of them trying to respond to that surface level pop feminism that was happening in the decade.
Sure.
And, ABC being a subsidiary.
Yeah.
Like, I can see why they would want to address that part of the story and lean into it and accept, like, yeah, this is part of the story that we tell.
Yeah. And it is an interesting twist, I would say. Like, as you're uncovering the story as it's happening, as a viewer, I was like, I did not expect it to go in this direction. So
she seems, her relationship to Rumplebumple, from what little I know, like she's there by his side, but there's a part of her that's hesitant.
Yep. And another thing I think about her is she is the one who's like, I can fix him. I do think at the end, like I'm on season 6, there's still stuff happening with them. The the conclusion that the writers are making at this point where I am at in the story is this is not a good relationship and they should not be together, and Rumpel is an asshole and he's power hungry. He's always wanted power. That's all he wants. He says he loves Belle.
Spoiler alert, Amanda.
I told y'all we were going to get into it. But I just want to like give some context to this like weird kind of thrown in there thing.
Yeah.
So that's all happening. At this point in the story, though, it is sort of, they're still leaning into it, into the idea that they could have a happy ever after together. So Jefferson gets Belle out. Okay, and then we do go back to the Enchanted Forest at this point. Rumpel gives Charming the ring, and he also gives him his fancy red outfit.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he magics his outfit for him. So now we're literally coming full circle back to the pilot of where we started.
Where he gets Snow back. I don't know if you're about to get to this, but I did write this down as they're talking. Mm-hmm. There's basically this question of like, what happens next? And I don't know if it's Snow who says it or Charming, but it's let's take back the kingdom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which for me, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
What's been going on here?
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't remember. Through a lot of Snow and Charming's backstory, a lot of it is like from the time period of Snow being hunted in the forest by the queen. So she's out living in the forest, kind of on the run all the time. I think the dwarves are with her for at least part of the time. And then, at some point, her and Charming meet and team up. Yeah, and at this point, they've decided, we're going to get our kingdom back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's next?
I wrote, oh no, Henry dead.
Okay. All right, so we're coming full circle with David and Snow. Yeah, they get their little cute proposal. So then we cut back to them in the real world. They have their little breakup moment. Is that right?
No.
Or do we go back? We go straight to the hospital from there?
Go straight to the hospital.
Okay, hospital part 3, y'all. So David's leaving Storybrooke. Emma's coming back up from the dragon.
Yeah. Sorry.
She gets stopped in the elevator, like a solid 8 feet up, 8 feet from the top. And Gold just like leans over the side. He's like, sup. He's like, oh, the elevator has stopped.
Oh no.
You'll have to toss the egg up to me. And Emma's like about to try and like climb up the rest of this elevator shaft.
I wish she would have just done that.
Yeah, I don't know. She could have maybe stuffed it in her jacket somehow.
She could have made like a little baby carrier out of that leather jacket.
But she doesn't. She's like, all right, I'm gonna toss it up to you, and then I'll be up there. And surprise, surprise. She tosses up the egg.
He betrays her.
He just dips. He just leaves. Like, doesn't say nothing, just out. Emma finally makes it to the top of the elevator. Regina's there, tied up in a chair, which I was like, how did this happen?
Regina has no fight left in her.
She has no fight left in her. Yeah. I think also, like, nobody is supposed to have magic. The one way I could see it happening is if Rumpel had magic at his disposal and he could somehow magically tie her up.
Mm-hmm. Or he had a gun.
He
does have a pawn shop.
He does.
In America.
Whatever. It's just a plot element.
I'm going with gun.
We just roll with it. Regina's tied up. Emma unties her, and of course, she's like, he's got the egg and we gotta go after him. But before they can get out the door, both their phones start ringing. And they know what that means.
And we did.
They exchange looks and they're like, shit, it's the hospital. And suddenly we're back at the hospital part 3. They both walk in. There's a nice hallway shot of them just like frantically running down this hallway to get to Henry's room. Whale and Blue, that's the Blue Fairy. Did you recognize her?
Okay.
She's like a nun in this world?
Did, but not because I was like, oh, Blue Fairy. I just recognized the actress.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure she's in an episode of Psych.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, so they both come out and they're like, we did everything we could, like, whatever. And so, interestingly, Emma goes in.
And Regina does not.
And Regina stays outside.
She stays behind the glass.
The windows.
I did notice that.
Yeah. So obviously this is like a directing choice. Yeah. But I did find it really interesting that Regina lets... basically they've both been told their child is dead.
Yeah, and it's sort of the position that they take on it where Emma is willing to confront it
Face
right
it.
away.
Mhm.
She's ready
This
and
is the
willing to face it
Yep.
and
This is
look
it.
it in the face.
Yep.
Regina is not.
Regina's not. Yeah, at
And
least
I
not right
think,
away.
Yeah, also the degree of separation Regina probably feels from Henry.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's been separated from him for the whole season, basically. So just kind of further showing that separation. So Emma goes in. She's crying, basically.
It's a very sad moment.
It's really sad. And like when you're watching it,
slow motion, swelling music.
Yeah, they hit you. They hit you good. And when I was watching it, I was like, I forgot they killed Henry. I forgot he kind of died. Like I was a little bit shocked too, even having seen it before. Yeah, and like they show the monitor, and the monitor is flatline, like he's gone.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest though. I didn't see it coming, but I was like, yeah, this makes sense.
Right.
Because again, we're hitting the beats of Snow White.
Sure.
We're retelling Snow White, but in the real world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're redoing the original sleeping
curse.
curse.
Of, like romantic love.
We get.
Yep,
we're gonna get there.
Familial.
Real quick, I do want to say, as we're like looking at Henry's not dead body, but almost dead body, we cut away for commercial, y'all. Like it fades to black, and you know that's for a commercial break. And I was like, damn.
And this is why I have ad block.
And I mean, this is on Disney Plus, so.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, are you not?
Damn it.
you
I watched it on Hulu.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Okay, we actually come back to Gold with the egg. That's what my notes say. What do you?
Oh, yeah, I completely skipped that part.
Okay, so just real quick, we come back. Gold has the egg. He's back in his shop. Belle strolls in, and I wrote in my notes, "Oh, here we go." And he's like shook. He's shook to see her. He has not seen her in 28 years. He's been conscious for 28 years. All similar to Regina and, somewhat for Henry. Time has passed for him. So he's not seen her in 28 years. He basically looks like he's seen a ghost. And she's like, yeah, this guy, Jefferson, freed me from my cell and told me to come here and tell you that Regina imprisoned me. Does that mean anything to you? And he's like, uh-huh. He like hugs her and stuff. And she's like, I'm sorry, do I know you?
Yeah, she's just hella confused.
She's just so confused. Poor sweet baby. And he's like, no, you don't, but you will. And now we go back to the hospital. Yeah, we're back in the room. Everybody's in the room now. Regina's in the room. She's kind of staring at Henry's not dead body. And then she starts crying. She turns to Dr. Whale and like starts crying, sobbing on him. Which is kind of weird for me, but whatever. And then, Emma goes to Henry. He looks dead. He looks really dead. He's like got the gray skin and everything. They did a great job. And Emma finally says, I love you, Henry. And she kissed him on the forehead.
Forehead kiss.
Little forehead kiss. It's so cute. And he wakes up. The curse is broken.
And
True love's kiss.
Love this subversion of True Love's Kiss.
Yeah,
so
good.
much.
It's good.
It's so sweet. It's so wholesome.
It's so cute. And this is definitely also, I mean, the first time she's kissed him, the first time she said I love you to him. They've hugged before at this point, and they're kind of buddy, but she has never gone as far as to say I love you or I care about you even. She calls him kid a lot. That's like her cute name for him, which is adorable. But it's also kind of a way to distance her from him. So for her to say, I love you, Henry, and then kiss him, and it breaks the curse. It's just good. It's good shit. Yeah, and then he's just a sweet little bean. I don't know. I wrote he's a sweet little bean because he looks so cute. And then, Regina's there, and she's shocked. She's like, you did it? And she's in awe. She's not angry. She's just relieved. But then the shockwave goes out.
Yeah, it breaks the whole curse.
That breaks the
the
whole
turnover curse.
Yes, the Storybrooke curse. Everybody wakes up. Like David's in his car trying to leave Storybrooke. He slams on the brakes right in front of the sign as he's about to cross the border. He wakes up. Everybody wakes up, and you can start to see Regina realize that, oh shit, it's not just Henry that's saved from this. And
well, I mean, the blue fairy, nun nurse lady.
Yeah, she's kind of ambiguous.
Yeah. She even makes the comment to Regina, like, Your Majesty.
Yeah, she says something.
You better go and hide.
Yeah, she says, you better run, Your Majesty, something along those lines. Yeah. And this is when we get Regina going up to Henry, and she's scared. You can tell she's scared, but she goes up to Henry. Henry's sitting up in bed, and she kind of kneels down in front of him and says, "Henry, no matter what you think, no matter what anyone tells you, I do love you."
And I just wrote,
Okay, for me, this is full circle from the pilot. Because we have, also, because, sorry, I got really excited. Because at this point, when Regina's telling this to Henry, we also get a quick shot to Emma of her watching this interaction. Yeah. And it seems like she believes it, I think. And also, I think it's full circle from the pilot of when Emma's, initially interrogating Regina saying, "Do you love her?" And she says, "Of course I love him." And, at that point, the tone was very, like, tense / disdaining towards Emma.
Yeah, it was them sizing each other up.
Yeah. It did not feel like her genuinely expressing love for her son.
No.
This very much feels like genuinely expressing love for her son.
Yeah, and it's I think it's one of the things I wrote down where I'm like, does she really love him? Because it seems genuine there.
Yes, it is.
But, I mean, I haven't seen enough of the show to say, like, why does she have a reason to feel this way about him, I guess? Because
it's her child.
Yeah. But, I mean, I didn't even know her motivation for adopting him. I'm like, does she know? Part of me assumed that she knew Henry was Emma's child.
No.
Emma was...
No.
This... Obviously, I know that
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But at the time when I was watching it, again, just going in cold, I was like, she has Henry for some kind of manipulation.
No, she doesn't. She just... At the time she adopts Henry, she just wants to adopt a child. And it's because she's, like, sick of her cursed life. Partially. She's sick of her cursed life. You get some flashbacks also of young Regina in season 1 that are very enlightening. And you do kind of realize there was a time in her life where she was a lot more similar to Snow White, kind of like young, pure, in love. She was like in love with this stable boy. And then her whole life goes to shit when her crazy mom, who's also kind of an evil witch, kills the boyfriend in front of her, takes out his heart and crushes it.
Oh,
in front of her. And that's
not
part of
traumatizing at all.
Yes, and part of the reason that happens is because young Snow White lets it slip to her mom that Regina's going to try and run off with this boy instead of marrying the king, which is Snow's father. So a young naive Snow lets that slip to her mother. Her mother kills her boyfriend, and Regina blames Snow because she can't, there's some psychological shit going on there where she can't, her mom's basically been abusive to her whole life, emotionally and physically, but she can't blame her mother.
No.
She can't. Yeah. So she,
I'm sure that
turns her anger onto Snow.
Yeah. Like her whole worldview has been constructed to try and justify her mother's behavior.
Yeah.
By the sound of it.
Yeah. So prior, and that's kind of the beginning of her downfall. And then she's, manipulated by her mom. She gets trapped into this marriage with the king, who's basically an old man. Not super old, but like she's 18 and she's married to probably a 55-year-old man at least. They don't go into that too much for, ABC reasons and Disney reasons, but you can infer some stuff.
We don't need to go into that.
No, we don't need to go into that. But, at the least, she was imprisoned in this marriage where the guy did it as more of like a symbolic, like his wife had Snow White's mom had passed away. He like just kind of needed a queen again. So it wasn't because he loved her. So she's trapped, and then eventually, Rumpel manipulates her as well.
Yeah.
So she kind of just one after the other.
I mean, that's the lingering question that I had coming out of these 2 episodes was, is there going to be a redemption arc for the evil
there
queen?
is.
Because I'm like, the way that she's played does seem a bit like a tragic character.
You betcha. Betcha.
She's just the queen of irony, just setting herself up to fail, but she feels bad about it.
Yep. Yeah,
she's remorseful.
She has feelings. Yeah. And she definitely has this like evil queen persona, and it's a persona she gets trapped in for a long time, and she does bad shit. Like, they never excuse the stuff that she does, but they definitely show you all the shit that led up to it. And by the time you get through it all, you're like, damn. Yeah, and she does have a redemption arc, and it's one of the best ones I've ever seen. Ever. Period.
Right on.
So, so she says that and she runs away, basically. Yep. She's got to go. Because, now she's target number 1. And then we get Snow and Charming reuniting.
Oh my God. This scene stressed me out so much.
Did it? Why?
Because she's in the street. He's in the street. They run to the middle of the street. And all I can think is you're going to get hit by a bus.
Nah.
Have you seen Skins?
Have I seen what?
Skins.
No.
There is a scene, there is an episode where a character just casually walks out into the street and gets mowed by a bus.
I mean, also like Mean Girls.
And yeah.
There's a lot of casual bus hitting. Also, another
every
show
time
I
see a character go into the street, that's all I can think about.
Yeah, no, this isn't that kind of show.
Which, I mean, yeah, it's ABC. I should expect better.
Yeah, it's ABC, it's Disney. This is, I mean, we've been building up to this moment also.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire season, like them reuniting. It's super cute. And as I said earlier, the actors are married in real life. It's great.
I mean, if I can let go of the stress, it's a very cute scene.
Yeah. And then we cut straight back to Regina crying in Henry's room from that. She's like, goes up into his room and like grabs his pillow and starts crying. Pretty sad. And then we go back to Rumple and Belle. And Rumple's got his true love potion, which never amounted to anything. I just connected something too. I've been calling him Bumple, and that's the couple name right there. What is? Belle and Rumple. Bumple. And I've been calling him Bumple this whole time. What is their actual ship name? So everybody has, actually, I will say real quick, everybody in the show has excellent ship names because they sort of use their fairy tale titles for the ship names. I don't know who started it, but so the Emma and Regina ship is Swanqueen. Let's see, what is their ship name? I don't know. I don't know if they have a clever one. I don't know. If y'all know it, let us know. But I think the Snow and Charming one it might just be Snowming. They don't have a clever one. Or Charm Snow? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I could probably come up with a few other ones. Oh, there's Robin Hood is later a character and is a love interest for Regina, so their ship name is Outlaw Queen. And also Captain Hook is a character later, and him and Emma are a couple, and their ship name is Swan. So there's some good ones. I like it. But yeah, you get to avoid the like awkward name mashups a little bit more. But Bumple's not bad. I like okay. So yeah, they're back. He's out in the woods. There's this well in the middle of the woods, and Belle's still so confused. She does not know what they're doing out there. But the curse is broken, so she does remember who she is and who he is now. She like suddenly says that she remembers. I can't remember if they kiss or not, but then he's like, we'll have time for that later. Like, I got to do a thing. And he goes and dumps the true love potion into the well. And the point of this is that he's going to bring magic back into our world. Spoiler alert. That's what he says. Oh. Well, doesn't he? I don't remember. I think he says it. I see magic wave and I'm like, oh, what's this going to do now? Yeah, no, I think he says something about like he probably did. He says the title of the episode. He says this is a land without magic and I'm bringing magic back. Yeah, that rings. Yeah, he says something like that. Yep, and then we get like the purple smoke, kind of the similar to the curse again, a kind of a tie back into the pilot of the curse. Yeah, cast. Absolutely. Yeah. So we get the purple smoke. I wrote Magic Wave 2 Electric Boogaloo. That's good. I like it. So yeah, that starts to kind of roll across the land and starts to hit everybody. We see Snow and Charming out in the street get like enveloped in the cloud of purple magic. Get hit by a metaphorical bus, if you will. Nope, not yet. And we see Regina go up to her window and start to see the magic flow across, towards her house, and she gets an evil queen smile going. She's happy about that. And then and then Emma and Henry are also seeing it from the hospital, and Emma's like, "What's that?" And Henry's like, "Nothing good." And that's basically the end. Yeah. So that is the season 1 finale of Once Upon a Time. And yeah, I think my overall thoughts are there are a lot more pilot parallels. Oh, we end on the clock again. I did want to mention that.
We do, don't
Yeah, we end on the clock ticking again, which it's been ticking this whole time. But it was like a nice, just ending motif, I guess.
Tying it all together.
Yeah, tying it all together. And yeah, again, a reference to the pilot. So yeah, we had a lot more pilot parallels than I thought. We wrapped up a lot of plot. The curse sort of the original curse sort of ran its course. There's going to be other curses in the future. And we have Emma and Regina working together for the first time. Super fun. And yeah, saving Henry. Henry has 2 moms. That's great. They both love him. And true love doesn't have to be romantic love. Mm-hmm. So we had True Love's Kiss.
Which I personally love representations of
thought
love
you would.
that is not romantic.
I thought you might like that. Snow and Charming reunited. We're just kind of fulfilling a lot of the promises from the pilot here. And magic is back. So now we have some, a nice little cliffhanger. Yeah. Not a huge cliffhanger, but a nice little cliffhanger.
It's a nice tie-up to the season where you're like, okay, if that's where I want to end it, I have a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
But I wrote down the hooks for this of why you'd want to move on to season 2 of okay, everyone remembers.
Yep, everyone remembers.
But they're still in the real world.
Yeah, and we don't know why.
Nope. We got Magic Wave 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yep.
What's going to happen next with that?
Yep.
The temporary alliance between Emma and the mayor, Regina. Now I'm like, okay, all right. Are they going to do this again? I said new challenger approaching, Rumplebumple being established as the new antagonist. I don't know what happened the rest of the season, but at least for season 1, the antagonist is Regina.
Mainly.
Yes. And now
he's always there sort of in the background, he's one of those characters where he's always kind of pulling the strings.
Yeah, but it definitely seems like they're setting him up for season 2 to be the antagonist for season 2.
Yes, there's gonna be other ones, but he's definitely one of them. Yeah, and I think also a big part of his character is he just likes to cause chaos. So that is also
we all.
So that is also part of him bringing magic back, so to speak. Also he's always looking for power. That's kind of his main motivation. Yeah, I also really love that, we see some progress with Regina in this episode. You can kind of see where she's going. Like you said, you got a sense of is there a redemption arc to be had here? Yes, there definitely is. And that we spent a lot of time on that in season 2. And she kind of by the end of season 2, she kind of fulfills it, sort of. So it's fun times, y'all. I ended the episode being like, damn, I really want to watch the season 2 premiere now. So they did their job.
Definitely.
Oh, ratings. We got to do a rating.
Yeah.
I've
been
what's
trying
yours?
to think of
What's
one
yours?
This whole episode.
You got one?
It's not a good one, but whatever. I'm going with it. 1 fabulous Fabergé egg filled with true love out of
That's pretty good.
Fabergé
I like it. I'm giving this episode 2 out of 2 definitely not lesbian moms saving their son together. There's definitely nothing going on there. Nope.
I love it.
Definitely not.
And that's the whole title of the rating, yes?
What?
All the way to the definitely not. That's the whole title of the rating.
Oh yeah. All the way. Yeah. Can I talk about them for a second?
Yeah, go off.
Yeah, the swanqueen ship is a real thing. I would say probably the most popular ship in this show.
Having only seen 2 episodes, I get it.
You can see why. Mm-hmm. And spoilers, it doesn't happen.
Well, again, ABC in 2011.
ABC 2011, Disney ownership.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get gay marriage until 2015, and that was super controversial. I mean, has Disney even had an openly gay character yet?
Yeah. I don't know if they've had one that has a central role.
Yeah.
In a story.
So we're still struggling with that.
We've definitely had some peripheral characters in now I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, you can't. Openly too. Anyway.
Definitely not in this time period. No. However, my God, what a waste. First of all, these are 2 of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life.
True.
Particularly Lana Parrilla. Everyone in the show is attractive. And then when she opens that door in the pilot, I was shook. I was like, wow, this woman is ungodly attractive. And yeah, so they have and between the two of them together, they look really good together. They got a whole like darkness and light thing going on.
Yep.
And this shit literally writes itself. They literally have a son together. They have a child. They have a built-in child, okay? Like the meet cute where Emma brings Henry back and then like she's like, you're Henry's birth mother. Like that's the start of a romance novel.
We need to do a top 3 most frustrating queer baiting couples in TV.
This definitely
maybe extend that to like top 10 because there's a lot.
There's a lot. Well, and I will say, like, I wrote this somewhere in my notes too. Like, the kids do not understand these days. This was like the height of queer baiting, I would say. Like, 2010s, you know, very, very late 2000s, maybe, but basically 2010s. Basically, 2010s were like the height of queer baiting in shows. Now you just have queer couples in shows.
Yeah.
Like, you know, on Netflix, Amazon, streaming, whatever. Like, yeah. There's
but like,
just.
yeah, in that decade, if you wanted any kind of queer representation, you had to just put up with queer baiting.
Yeah. Which in some sense is fun because you want there to be some tension and you want there to be like an interesting romance. Like we don't call when that is done, like that concept is done with straight couples. We don't call it straight baiting.
No.
We just call it like slow burn romance.
Right.
So you have that, but.
And again, it's not an individual like TV show is bad for doing this.
No.
Right? It's the fact that it's an industry trend that is what makes it so frustrating.
Yeah. And they just kill me most of all because it writes itself. So like you don't really have to do much.
No, it's already there.
It's already there.
And the actresses have such great chemistry together.
They have such good chemistry, you guys. It's insane. They arguably have the best chemistry out of anyone in the entire show. You could make a pitch for Snow and Charming. I would accept it.
Meh.
Yeah, but yeah. But when you look at them,
we love a dynamic that's like love hate, like enemies to lovers.
This is the ultimate. This would have been the ultimate enemies to lovers of all time.
Would have been good.
Would have been the top of the top.
Not that I know much about the show, but from what I do know, would have been good.
Yeah. Yeah, and the queer baiting is there from the beginning pretty much. There's definitely, like I said, there's moments in season 1 where they're sort of like working together sometimes almost, but then like fighting a lot, and you know, they get up in each other's faces a lot. They're always fighting over Henry. And yeah, and then this partnership sort of at the end, it kind of like, here's where it could go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will say, right after, spoilers, are you going to keep watching this show?
I am considering it.
Yeah. So do you want me to not say anything else?
No, I love spoilers.
Okay. I will say going into season 2 from here, so the curse is broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is going to go after Regina, basically, in the first episode. And Henry says to Emma, you have to protect her. Yeah, which is interesting, right? He this whole time, basically. And I think he does struggle throughout season 1 with like, oh, she's my mom, she's the evil queen, like, do I love her, do I hate her, you know, kind of situation.
Well, like, you're thinking about from a kid perspective,
exactly.
Very black and white.
Yes.
And even his psychologist is like, you have to turn away from the evil within you. Like, I mean, that's one of the things that you have to come to terms with growing up is dark and light exist together.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, that's hard to wrap your head around.
Yep.
That his mom could love him and care for him, but also be the evil queen.
Yeah. So that's definitely a big point. And yeah, that's a huge character development point for him too. But anyway, he says to Emma, like, you have to protect her. And she's like, okay. So she, there's like basically an angry mob going to Regina's house and is going to kill her. And Regina basically comes out and is like, come at me, bro. Which, is about right for her. Long story short, Emma drags her out of there and gets her in the police station. And like, Snow and Charming show up. A bunch of people show up and they're all after her head. And like, Emma's the only one defending her. Emma's like, nope. We're like, I can't remember what the defense is, but basically she defends Regina, and Regina looks at her like, she's like shook. She's shook that she's like defending her right now. And y'all, it's
why
so
would
good.
Emma have a reason? Obviously, Henry.
Yeah, but she does like the way she defends her, it's like it's not just Henry. Like she's not just doing it. You'll see. You should watch. So yeah, we build into it right away. Yeah, and then like eventually they do actually, team up. They get to know each other better. They realize that they have very similar trauma, actually, in terms of like how they grew up, and they were both basically constantly abandoned, neglected, and abused by the people that were supposed to be taking care of them. And yeah, there's like a point where they're talking, and Emma says something like, "You get me in a way that other people don't get me," and like vice versa. And like maybe that makes us special. Also,
I mean, in a sense,
yeah.
it could, Emma. It could.
That's literally a line she says.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
And they Regina, eventually they figure out that Emma can do magic too. Yeah.
Ooh.
She has light magic. Regina has dark magic. Regina has to teach her how to use the magic.
We love magic systems.
And camps.
Yes.
When they use the magic together, they are
it's
more
a
powerful.
25 Lazarus miracle.
It's off the charts. Like they make each other more powerful. Like I don't need. Where do I? Come on. Like I said, it writes itself. Yeah, and then there's a last kind of points I'll make on this last beating the dead horse moment. The kind of unfortunate plot arc of season 5 is Emma kind of turns evil. And then you have like a nice role reversal of Emma's evil now and Regina is sort of the hero. Basically, they flip-flop.
This almost sounds like they ran out of ideas. I'm not going to lie.
I was kind of saying this in our intro episode. This is why I was saying where this season, the ideas are there. It's actually a good idea. It's actually a fun idea. I would have loved it. The execution was terrible. And I would have loved it if they would have played up this parallel way more of Emma is now the dark one and Regina is now the hero. And they show it in the costumes, y'all. It's in the costumes. Like Regina is, for a lot of season 5, Regina is wearing the hero's red, which she almost never does. So she's definitely put in the hero's position. Emma's evil, and they just don't do anything with it. It's like it's all about Emma and Hook at that point, which is so boring. So yeah. So then the other thing that happens is they both basically get paired with watered down male versions of the other.
Yeah, because it's the not gay. You gotta queer bait, and then you gotta do the not gay.
The not gay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Regina gets paired with Robin Hood.
So frustrating.
Regina gets paired with Robin Hood, who is he's blonde. He's a thief. Emma, also we find out in her backstory, she's also a thief. She like commits crimes. He's a do-gooder. He's a quote unquote savior to his people. They never say that about him, but he is. Yeah, and then Emma ends up with Captain Hook, who at the beginning is also a villain. Also wears a lot of black.
Well, she just likes the bad boy / girl type.
Yeah, she likes the villains. And he also has a redemption arc where he redeems himself and joins the good guys.
I do love redemption arcs.
Yeah. And I do like him as a character. He's not a bad character. I think, if you take a journey through the swanqueen fanfiction archives, there's a lot of Hook bashing, and like making him into like a terrible, like abusive, shitty person. He's really not. He's just boring. Like him and Robin Hood, they're both just boring. Like they're watered down versions of Emma and Regina.
It's always so funny to me too when you have media where it's like you have the person that's the total snore fest and then the person that's the actual romantic interest. And even though the person who's a snore fest is a good person, everyone's like, no, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Fuck him in particular.
Yeah, so, that's kind of the main letdown of this show, I would say, is not following through, especially when, like, literally all of the story elements lead there naturally.
Right.
And then they have to write around it, and then it's bad.
But yeah, for the decade, it's what I expect.
Yeah. I will say, I do want to point out, now that I've complained, what some things the show does right. I think that in the end, the character arcs are still pretty good for our mains, which are Emma, Regina, Henry, and maybe Snow and Charming, although they have kind of less of a full character arc of transformation. So for Emma, she basically goes from being alone without a family, and she ends up with almost like 3 different families, or like a big blended family, I guess, which is her and her parents, and later her little brother. Snow and Charming have another baby. Her and Regina and Henry are sort of a family unit, even though they're not together. And then her and Hook, they end up getting married. So she has a family by the end, which is good.
I do like found families.
Yeah. So that is at least nice. And yeah, Regina goes from being the evil queen, alone, hating herself, traumatized, terrible childhood, like manipulating everyone around her to try to feel something, some sense of belonging. And she ends up, again, way in season 7, I'm not even there yet, but I know this is what happens. She ends up as the good queen. And she chooses good. She chooses to be good. She has unconditional love for her son and from her son, Henry. And Henry really ends up being her true love in the end. Robin Hood actually dies. So, yeah, there's like a whole big plot line where Robin Hood's supposed to be her true love, and then he straight up dies. And I'm glad for it because, again, like I said, I was bored.
Yeah,
I was
fuck
like,
this guy in particular.
get these men out of here. So he dies, and like it does when it happens, it definitely feels like the actor had to leave or something.
Yeah.
It was like felt like this was a choice that had to be made for some reason. He does die, so she technically ends up alone. Romantically, she's single by the end. But she has Henry. Henry is like fully on board by like season 3. He's like fully on board with having 2 moms, and accepts Regina, and yeah, she becomes the good queen. So complete 180.
Personally, like too when your expectations are subverted, and the main character or one of the main characters does not get the romantic partner, but still has a very satisfying life and a happy ending.
And I like that too, in that, we're kind of setting up here in season 1 that Emma is kind of, this is an ensemble cast. We are kind of setting up that Emma is like ultimately the top main character. But by season 7, I don't know if there was some weird contract stuff or what ended up happening, but Jennifer Morrison leaves the show after season 6, who plays Emma. So by the end, you only have, I think, out of our main characters, Regina, Henry, and Gold, Rumple, left. Maybe some ancillary people by then that we know. So in terms of like a full through line through the entire show, it ends up kind of being Regina's show.
Yeah, it sounds
because she's there from the beginning, and she's the one who kind of kicks off this whole story.
Yeah.
And then by the end it's her complete transformation into the good queen. And then and Henry kind of grows up and goes from being like a little boy obsessed with fairy tales and good and evil, as you were saying before, like very black and white perspective, and he, comes to understand that no matter what world you're in, it's not all black and white, and he accepts and is loved by both of his moms. Like, they make it very clear, even though Regina and Emma don't ever get together, they do make it very clear that they're like a family unit, and they're connected by Henry, and like they are a family together. So that is cool also. And and he also becomes like a writer. He gets this role later on where he becomes the author, so he has the power to write some of these stories into existence. Yeah, so it's cool.
Kind of reminds me of the Goosebumps story I read when I was a kid.
Yeah. So he kind of goes from like being obsessed with these stories to actually creating the stories himself, which is also a full arc I enjoy. Super fun all around. It's a fairy tale soap opera, y'all. You do figure out along the way also like everybody's related to everybody else somehow. It's pretty wild. Yeah, the family tree is crazy. Super fun costumes. Sometimes that's the only reason you're watching. And it does seem to get itself back on track, I will say, now that I'm sort of mid-season 6. And it's very rewatchable. So yeah. Any last thoughts that you have on Once Upon a Time?
Yeah, just it surprised me.
Yeah, right?
I very much like it. I like the setup.
Yeah.
And where it can go. And
yeah.
I mean, you're really not selling me when you're talking about season 4 and 5. about watching through, so that does give me some hesitation.
Truly, you could watch up through, I can't remember if it's the end of season 3 or like the mid-season of season 4. One of those, you could watch up through that and stop, and it's relatively satisfying.
Yeah, then I would consider watching it through that point.
Yeah, I would say at least watch seasons 1 and 2, because it's really just good. Yeah. It's just fun. It's also a good background show.
Yeah.
I would say, and I know you love a background show.
I do.
But it is fun to actually, watch and pay attention to it as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, as we've discussed, there's a lot of care and consideration that goes into the direction and cinematography of the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a show that did not have to be as good as it was. And, for all of its faults, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
Right on.
All right.
Once upon a time.
What are we getting into next episode?
So we are going to be watching the first and the series finale episode of one of my favorite shows.
Mm-hmm.
Barry on HBO.
Complete 180, y'all.
Mm-hmm. This is a very different vibe. So IMDb summary. Well, first of all, what do you know?
Bill Hader.
Mm-hmm.
He's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Okay. He kills people.
Yes.
I think that's about it.
Okay. So the IMDb summary is: a hitman from the Midwest moves to Los Angeles and gets caught up in the city's theater arts scene.
Okay.
My summary is: hitman want be actor.
Okay. All right.
So it's created by Alec Berg, who produced Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and another one of my favorite shows, Silicon Valley, also on HBO.
Okay.
It was also created by Bill Hader, who not only wrote it, but also had his directorial debut with some of these episodes. And I think he does a phenomenal job. Stars Bill Hader as Barry, the titular character, Stephen Root as Monroe Fuchs, Sarah Goldberg as Sally Reed, Anthony Carnigan as NoHo Hank, great character, and probably my favorite.
Okay.
And Henry Winkler as Gene Cousineau.
Okay.
So
got some names.
Yeah, good names, good actors, great cast. The pitch for this show, and hopefully this is another way to hook you.
Okay.
Was what if the guy from Taxi Driver hung around with the people from Waiting for Guffman, and that was his therapy. So it's basically taking the comedy, mining the comedy of the hitman world, which is high stakes but very low drama, with the theater world, the acting world of no stakes but very high drama.
Okay.
And I love Barry. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite shows. It's a show that I watched as it was coming out, which is rare for me.
What year?
2018 to 2023.
Oh, okay. So COVID, relatively recent.
Yeah, COVID delayed some of the production.
This show started when Once Upon a Time was ending.
Yeah. What initially drew me into the show is it's very dark comedy.
Yep. Which I will interject real quickly. Not usually my first choice.
Not your cup of tea?
No. So this will be interesting.
Yeah. I love dark comedy a lot.
You do.
And I think Barry does a phenomenal job of balancing it out, where you have some scenes where you're just splitting your side laughing.
Yeah.
And other scenes where you're going, fuck. And then some scenes where it's both at the same time and you just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's a show with a lot of twists and turns. It's very hard to predict.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. It is just out there.
Yeah.
It's different.
Would you
great.
compare it to like Coen Brothers stuff at all?
I would.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely would.
Have you seen Fargo?
Yes.
I mean, not the movie, the show.
Oh, no, I haven't seen the show.
Okay. I've heard great things. I watched maybe half of the first season of it, and it was it's exactly that, like dark comedy. It has, very much similar vibes to the film, but yeah, watched about half of it. It started getting real gory, and I was like, I don't think I need this in my life.
Yeah. And that, brings me to my final point about Barry. What you should know going into this.
Uh-huh.
Number one, it's a very violent show.
Great.
Barry is an assassin. He kills people.
Yeah.
This is on HBO.
Sure.
So, do the math. It's bloody.
Yeah. We're not on ABC anymore.
No. And then, the the main characters of the show, the ones to look out for, are the list of actors I read off there. So you have Barry the Hitman, Fuchs, who is his mentor / handler, so he gets the assignments for Barry.
Is he in like a hitman society?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just Fuchs, who's his handler, who's like, go and kill this person.
Interesting. Okay.
Sally Reed, who is one of the actors in the acting class, and I guess Barry's inspiration. And then Kusino, who is the drama teacher. And then, again, my favorite character of this whole show, NoHo Hank. Unfortunately, first and last episode, he has a very small role.
Okay.
Compared to how phenomenal he is throughout the rest of the show.
Okay. And he's also in the acting class?
He is not. So NoHo Hank is a Chechen mobster who hires Barry.
Okay.
So that's the setup.
Alrighty. Cool. So that's all I need to know.
Yeah. So you got 2 people from the mob world or the assassin world, 2 people from the acting world, and Barry in the middle.
Is there anything I should look out for as far as like pay attention to this character arc? I mean, obviously Barry's character arc, but I don't know, like any through lines you want me to look out for?
I guess just themes.
Themes, okay.
Themes, yeah. Because I think this show does 2 themes very, very well.
Okay.
But I'm not going to spoil them.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
I'll try and figure it out. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to get into it, you know?
Again, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, it's a new one for me, for sure.
I don't know that you'll like it.
We're going to find out. Yeah, like I said, not my first choice type of show typically. But it is a genre I have watched and enjoyed. I think I kind of like this method of doing it actually, because I mean, like straight up, I probably won't watch this whole show, but I do like the idea. Yeah, I do like the idea of like watching the first and last episode and just be like, get the vibes.
Yeah, exactly. And then I can just gush about how much I love the show.
Me as much as I've just geeked out on you.
Yeah. Hopefully I can at least convince you to change your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going in with an open mind for sure. All right, that is all for this week's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, been a good one.
Yeah, if you are a Once Upon a Time fan or you're about to become a Once Upon a Time fan after this episode, hit us up. We want to hear your thoughts, perspectives on the show. I love to discuss little character stuff with people, like the costumes. What's your favorite Evil Queen costume? Hit me up with that.
If it wasn't clear at this point, we could talk about this stuff for hours, so talk with us.
Yeah, please let us know your thoughts. You can email us at theshowofpod@gmail.com. Will this be posted on YouTube? Yeah. If this is on YouTube, then you can also leave us a comment.
Drop us a comment.
Alrighty, y'all. We will see you next week. Stay tuned for Barry.
Woo!
Bye.
See y'all. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Show Off. If you enjoyed this one, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast and give us your review of our episode pick for this week's pod. You can also email us at theshowoffpod@gmail.com. See you all next week.